This screencast is to support this lesson, which is a speaking and lexis lesson based on talking about a friend, mainly focusing on adjectives of character. Now, Donna and I have made this material, so there's no need to provide a reference, but I'm going to talk through the lesson here and give you some ideas on how to teach it. So the main aim is to get the students talking about a friend, using some different adjectives. Like you can see them here: ambitious, confident, fun, funny, generous, shy, easygoing and reliable. So 8 different adjectives of character. And at the end of the lesson, we'll also be introducing some questions using like. What does she like doing? What is she like? What does she look like? They can be tricky for students. And then here at the very end, we're going to use this activity and get the students talking about a friend. So the whole lesson is about an hour and a half, and I'll show you how it breaks down. All good lessons start with a lead-in, a warmer, to get the students warmed up, speaking and thinking, and to give a bit of time for latecomers to arrive as well. So I'd suggest just using a few discussion questions, some ideas here that you could put onto a slide to show the students, and then ask them for their opinions. And we can do that in different ways. We can do it through speaking, through getting them to write their answers in the chat box. So for example, I might put up this slide with the questions and say, right, the first question is, where do people meet new friends? Where do people meet new friends? What do you think? Does anybody have any ideas? And maybe if they don't have any ideas, maybe they don't understand the question. So you could give an example. You could say, well, one place to meet new friends is in a classroom or at school. Yeah, any other ideas? And you could do that speaking. And then you could look at the next one and say, right, what's better? 1 or 2 good friends or a lot of friends? Write your answers in the chat box. Okay, everybody write your answers in the chat box. Allow a little bit of silence, give them time to write in the chat box, and then you can say, right, so Sarah said it's better to have 1 or 2 good friends. Tell me more, Sarah. What do you think? Okay, so you can keep going like that. You're just trying to get the students warmed up to the topic at this stage. So we've set the context of friends, and here we're going to focus on one particular friend and introduce 3 of the adjectives that are coming up in the lessons. We've got 8 adjectives in total, and 3 of them are going to be introduced in this stage. So put up a photo or several photos, preferably people that you actually know rather than strangers off the internet, and then use those pictures to try to elicit the adjectives. Try to go from the meaning to the form. So that's from the meaning of the adjective to the adjective itself. Okay, instead of saying ambitious, what does it mean? I would say something like, this is my friend Sarah. Okay, she is a lot younger than me, but we're very good friends, and she wants to be an actress. So she's worked very hard to be an actress. She wants to be the best, basically. She wants to be in the West End, in the theatre. She wants to play all the big important roles. So do you think that she wants to do a lot of things in her career as an actress? Does she want to be the best? That's right. Does anybody know an adjective to describe this? It begins with A. Any ideas? Okay, so you're trying to elicit the adjective. Obviously, if they don't say it, that's okay. It means they don't know it, and that's fine. Then you give it, okay? But you give that space to see if anybody knows it, all right, by trying to elicit it. I'll give you another example with a different one. And Sarah, she's really good to spend time with. We go for walks, we go to the park up to Ashton Court here in Bristol, and she tells me really good stories. And when we go out in the evening, I really enjoy spending time with her, going to the movies or going to a bar sometimes. So I really enjoy spending time with her. She's good to be with. So what's an adjective to describe her? She begins with F. Fun. Yeah, she's a fun person. She's fun to be with. Good. Do you see the idea? Okay, so use a photo or several photos to get the students talking and to try to elicit 3 of the adjectives. When you have taught an adjective, then you can drill it, which is great fun. So ask, ambitious, how many syllables? And then say it and get the students to repeat. Remember, it's good to have everybody repeat together first, a choral drill, and then some individual drills. Okay, well now it's time to introduce more adjectives. What you could do before embarking on this activity to introduce the adjectives is you could say, okay, so you had 3 adjectives about Sarah. What were they talking about? Were they talking about her personality or what she looks like? And you could elicit that they're adjectives of character or of personality. And you could ask the students, do you know any more? And try to elicit more from them, which you could do speaking, or you could get them to write in the chat box, or you could use the whiteboard and get them to write on it as well. So a bit of a brainstorming session, I guess. Then we want an activity that will get them to focus on matching these adjectives here with their meanings here. Now, at the moment, they're matched up, so that's no fun at all, is it? It's not going to tell us anything. So make a slide with the words down one side and then the definitions mixed up, okay? And I would recommend numbering the adjectives and lettering the definitions because it makes feedback easier. All the students then have to write down is A, 6, or B, 7 or something like that. Okay, so a jumbled up activity on a slide, giving the students a chance to look at it and write down which adjective matches to which definition. I think it would be great to get some help with this so that the students can teach each other. So doing this in breakout rooms in small groups of say 3 would be a really effective way of getting students to share their knowledge. In the feedback, try and check the meaning and drill the ones that are difficult. Look at this one, generous. Oh, looks like Generaus, doesn't it? So that definitely needs drilling. And you might want to check meaning as well by saying no. So they're shy. What does a shy person like going to parties? No, they don't. Yeah. So if someone makes you laugh, ha 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 ha, are they fun or funny? Okay, so do some checking in the feedback as well. Well, I think it's about time for some practice. And here we've got some controlled practice. We've got a classic gap fill. It's controlled practice because there's only one correct answer. So we've controlled the language. Okay. I would say to students, okay, we're going to put some of these adjectives into the gaps and then do number 1 together, but elicit the answer. Don't just give it. So everybody look at number 1. John is a very person. He's always telling jokes. Does anybody know the answer? Everybody think. Everybody think. They'll start shouting out. That's okay, but just give everybody a chance to process it. And then if someone says funny, say, okay, so Ahmed said funny. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. And then get them to look at the others. Again, this could be a nice one to do in breakout rooms so that they can help each other. Peer teaching is very important. After this, you might want to add a little bit of extra practice. Why not have a game where you can give a definition of one of the adjectives and see who can guess it first or see who can write it in the chat box first. Okay? All right, so we're building up to our speaking activity now, and we'd like to introduce these questions, these 3 questions here. What does she like doing? What is she like? And what does she look like? All right, so we want to find out what the students know first. So first, just show them the answers and ask them, what do you think are the questions? Okay, use the word like. So for example, she's not very tall and she has red hair. Okay, so what's the question? What's the question? It's what? You could even give them a hint by saying it starts with what, and you can say what like. You can use your fingers to highlight it as well and try to elicit the question. Maybe try to elicit from number 2 and number 3 as well. Then show them the questions and get them to match them together. Then I think it would be a good idea to drill the questions. They're quite hard to say. What does she look like? What does she look like? What does she like doing? What does she like doing? Do you see the does she becomes does she? Yeah, so it'd be a really good idea to drill these questions because they're going to use them in the speaking task that is happening next. It's also a good idea to double check the meaning as well. So you can say, so when we talk about personality, which one do we use? What is she like? Good. When we talk about appearance, which one do we use? What does she look like? Good. So just do some checking there because this could be confusing for students. Now it's time to build up to the speaking activity. We've introduced the adjectives, we've looked at the questions with like, and now we need to bring it all together. So we need to give the students preparation time first. So I would show them this worksheet, talking about a friend, and then show them one that I've filled in about my friend. So for me, I would do it about Sarah. So it would say Sarah in the name part, and then here 3 adjectives, and tell the students they can take the adjectives from today's 8 adjectives or from the other ones that they did in the brainstorming. And that's about character. Remind them. So what would this question be? What is she like? Yeah, good. So here, adjectives of character. And what shall I put here? So elicit from them and then put in what you would write. You want this to encourage the students to write notes rather than full sentences because we don't want them just reading out their work when they're speaking. So this is for notes only. So if you show them an example that is just filled in note form, they're more likely to do that themselves. Then say, right, I want you to write about some notes about your friend to get ready to do some speaking later. And it's always worth double checking. Are you writing about my friend Sarah or your friend? It's your friend. The number of times I've had 15 people talking about Sarah is too many to count. So give them about 5 minutes preparation time, and then you need to demonstrate. So choose a strong student and demonstrate the activity together. You can say, Ahmed is my partner and we're going to work together. So Ahmed, my friend's name is Sarah. Ahmed, ask me the question. What's she like? Good, thank you. And then answer. All right, Ahmed, ask me this question. And then answer. So you're sort of demonstrating it as you go along by speaking with a strong student and eliciting the questions as you go. Once you've demonstrated, put the students into small breakout rooms to have a go at the activity and monitor to see if there are any problems. You can always note any examples of good language use you hear and any errors that you hear that you could deal with later in the class. Then get everybody back into the general room, get some feedback on ideas first. So, Ahmed, who did you talk to? What was her friend? What did you find out about your partner? Ask things like that. And then perhaps you could do some correction work. So I would make a Word document or use the whiteboard text box, write in there some sentences that I noticed when I was monitoring. Maybe 4 to 6 sentences, some correct, some not correct. And then I would say, okay, have a look at the sentences. Do you think they're correct or not correct? Give the students a chance to think first and then go through them. Okay, doing some correction after a fluency activity is a really good way of focusing on accuracy without having to break into people's conversations during the activity itself. Okay, so where there's a fluency focus, we usually do the correction after the activity. So it's really important to monitor well. Okay, an enjoyable lesson for the students, I think, and hopefully enjoyable for teachers as well.